Hey everybody, welcome to the official Do Good Better podcast. I'm your host, Patrick Kirby. The show is for small and medium-sized nonprofits doing great big things. We have a wonderful episode for you today because we found a small nonprofit doing great big things. I'd like to welcome to the show Paula Ferrari. She's a board member at Nothingdown. Paula, welcome to the official Do Good Better podcast.
Hi.
All right, so if somebody's scrolling through Facebook and they're scrolling through YouTube or all their favorite places to listen to podcasts, and they stumble across this and say, Paula, and Nothingdown, I'm very interested, but I know nothing about your organization. So for the listening and the viewing audience, why don't you kind of give a 5,000-foot view on what Nothingdown is, how you started, and what you do?
Okay, so broadly, what we are is a Down syndrome awareness nonprofit. Our mission is to show the world that there is nothing down about Down syndrome. We do so through a number of media channels. So we have photo campaigns. You'll see us on Facebook and Instagram. We've got some documentary films. Then we also do live events and all of those, kind of celebrating the beauty of difference and showing the world how incredible individuals with Down syndrome are.
I love that. I love that a lot. How'd you get started? So what was the impetus for this, and what's your origin story? I like that. The comic book era, it's the origin story of Nothingdown.
It's actually quite a beautiful little story. So the president, Julie Scopa Wilson, did a casting call for a photograph, which is, you probably have seen the photo if you've been on our Facebook page. It's gone viral a number of times, of 11 young children with Down syndrome. Mm-hmm. Julie put a casting call out for kids to appear in that photo to celebrate her sister, who passed away from a heart disease. She was in her 30s. So Julie wanted to honor her sister and did so through this photo. And one of the children in the photo, Reagan, her mom is Shannon Morgan Daughtry, who's the co-founder. The two of them kind of became fast friends, and what started as just a picture has now become a global movement, really, which is pretty cool. So it just started with the two of them kind of linking up on the set of this photo shoot, and it grew organically from there.
It's funny that you have the old saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words.
Who
and,
is it?
And it literally is like a picture's worth 1,000,000 likes. I mean, honestly, that's such a wonderful story on something that you didn't know was necessarily a thing. It happens, and you jump on it and say, now awareness campaign 101, let's go and make this a thing, not only regionally and locally, but across the globe now, which is just a remarkable feat. So talk to me about that process. You take the photo and it starts to get a little bit of attraction. When did you realize that starting a nonprofit for this awareness thing was the right play to go, or where you sort of built that from?
I think that all happened. Oh goodness, it was very quickly that the two of them decided to grow it. I came on pretty much right when it started, is probably when I was pregnant with my son. And at their first walk, I attended, not in pretty much any volunteer capacity. I attended as a guest, and was blown away by how organized and passionate the team was, and how small it was, and what big things they were doing. And I started volunteering from there, and hooked up with them and started running the Instagram, and just kind of, I was a bit of a nudge and wouldn't really, I just stayed with them, and it.
I like it. I was just there long enough that they asked me to stay and be on the board.
Right. And then I came onto the board in 2019, I think, when they realized I wasn't going to go away.
That's a smart move. I think they find a passion project and just be around long enough that they just ask you to be a part of it. That's a smart angle. I like that. So what kind of events do you do throughout the year to sort of garner awareness and sort of build this idea that it's nothing Down, about Down syndrome. It's a clever name. I just love it. What are you doing throughout the year to help sort of build that enthusiasm and that momentum?
We usually do a couple of maybe short film projects throughout the year. There's usually something around World Down Syndrome Day, like a dance video. We did do a World Down Syndrome Day dance party, which we were going to attempt to do again this year, but with everything happening, that didn't get to happen. We do an in-person family fun day, which would be the walk where I found Nothing Down. That is usually in June. Again, that's up in the, well, it's not happening, but it may happen in the fall, who knows.
Mm-hmm.
And we usually have a gala in the fall as well. And then if we're working on documentary films, we'll kind of travel around. If we find a guest that we're interested in or a story that just absolutely needs to be told, then we'll hit the road and do some filming.
Outstanding. No, I love that. I like that you're not contained to one community. I like the fact that you're not contained to, you know, one sort of area. The beauty of this is that it spans, because I think, you know, parents of individuals with children with Down syndrome, it's such a tight knit community. I mean, it's one of the most lockstep positive individuals. If you are ever feeling, well, to play on words, if you're ever feeling down, go find a family that is involved with either a Down syndrome organization or whatever, is the most authentically enthusiastic, positive group of people you can ever be around, and is a pure joy. And I can understand why you want to stick around, because it's just, you cannot feel bad by being with this particular community. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. Even just to, as a parent as well, it is amazing and beautiful to see. If I had a question over the weekend about what type of bicycle to get my son, because he's 3 years old and he wants to keep up with his brother, who's now on a two-wheeler and out doing his thing. And all I did was just say, anybody have any suggestions on a trike or a balance bike? And people drop everything and will send you links on, here's how to buy it. Here's somebody on Facebook Marketplace that has one. They're 30 minutes from you. You should, it's just, it warms your heart and it gives you so much hope. And that's one of the reasons why we work so hard, because this community works so hard for each other. And many of us have never met. And that's a pretty cool thing.
I think this is what makes this is the part of the internet that makes everyone glad they're a part of it, is something like this. They get to experience a community that you never really meet face to face, and yet they're there for you in a heartbeat. So every nonprofit that we talk to, we ask the same question, which is, what's those big, hairy, audacious goals? Because everyone's got them, regardless of their size, scope, or scale. So what, for Nothing Down, is your big, hairy, audacious goal for the future of your organization?
We'd like to see chapters across the country to go further. If we could get them international, that would be beautiful as well. We want to see our films in a theater. We got to experience that last year, the Princeton Nassau Film Festival. We got to see it up on a big screen. We'd like to keep seeing that. Maybe have screenings across the country, World Down Syndrome Day celebration. Our school program, that is another big goal, is to see that grow and start looking into doing assemblies in person or presentations. Now that's kind of got to pivot as well, and maybe do virtual options, since in person is going to probably take some time. But the school program is another huge passion of ours, which kind of goes hand in hand with the latest project that we rolled out, which was the R card. We kind of want to see that get into not just schools, but that's something that could probably be used by grown-ups, educators, no matter what your occupation is. Everybody kind of knows somebody, unfortunately, who might use the word and could use that tool.
Right. Oh, I love it. It's a wonderful goal to have. And I love the chapters thing. So if you're listening in, you're a parent and or you're a family member and you're living in a state that does not have any idea of, sort of a chapter or a group that's playing around with the idea of having families get together and collaborate with their families who are living with, sort of the challenges of communication and partnership. You get a hold of Nothing Down, and let's start some partnerships. Let's get this. Let's kick that off. So, what does Nothing Down do different than other organizations that rally around the idea of awareness and Down syndrome, and how awesome these kids and these families are? What makes you different than most others?
I think what makes us different is the fact that we're pretty fearless. If we have an idea, we'll give it a shot, and we're going to try it. We'll see it through. If we fail, that so be it. It's a learning curve, and we'll move on from there. But we've got this global following that makes chasing those dreams a very real possibility for us, and they give us a voice as we're giving them a voice. It's a trade-off, and because of how far spread our audience is, it allows us to share the message and really get the word out there.
I love the reward for audacity and the lack of fear is I think one of my favorite things to watch nonprofits do. And so you do it brilliantly. And I really like that embracing of fear. And not a lot of nonprofits do, because they're timid and they don't want to sort of upset the apple cart. I like where you're going with this. So let's talk a little bit about documented successes. I know that your awareness and some of your programs and some of your things you're doing within the schools are wonderful. Have any documented successes or things that you can kind of share on, like, hey, this was an unexpected win that we didn't see coming?
Well, we were in 6 film festivals for our film DearDoctor. There's one that's still, we've been accepted to, but it hasn't happened yet. And out of the 6 that we've been in, we won 4.
Oh, awesome. Look at that.
Yeah.
I like that. The feedback from the audience, I'm assuming, is just as positive as sort of the film award winners as well, because this is something that they've never experienced or they have not seen before.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and a lot of people at these festivals, other filmmakers or whatnot, may not have any exposure to the disability community, and to see people from all walks of life watch the film on the screen and feel it in their heart, that's something you can't put a price tag on. You can't really quantify it. It's everything. It really is, to know that what we're doing is touching lives, and hopefully in turn the film and its mission to kind of shed light on how a diagnosis is received can maybe change the path of the diagnosis process, or maybe give hope to new families. That was probably, in my book, a gigantic win.
Oh, that's awesome. And again, we celebrate wins at the nonprofits. We don't do it well enough. Anything else that we want to celebrate, and sort of like, hey, Nothing Down did this? It's not bragging. It's just celebrating. Donors want to be a part of winning teams. We're going to find winning teams to be a part of. So why not Nothing Down? Anything else that we want to celebrate as a win for your organization? Big, small, medium-sized, anything in between?
I think that the launch of our card program, the way that kind of came to light was from one of our ambassadors. Again, we wouldn't be who we are without that group of individuals spreading our mission. One of the moms came to us with the idea. We all worked together and we made it happen. And it's something that, as a mother of a child with Down syndrome, I hear it from friends. I hear from people reaching out to me through Nothing Down, that to hear someone use the R word is probably one of the biggest struggles as a parent. And you don't know how to correct someone, or you don't know which battle to pick, or do you let it slide, or do you maybe get into a confrontation, or maybe it's someone you work with and you don't want to make waves. And we gave the community a tool to use. And again, we had an idea. This mom had an idea. we said, let's make it happen. And we did. And now it is a tangible item. It's also a digital item that can be downloaded. It's something somebody can just share on social media if they don't want to push it on somebody, but we heard a need and we made it happen. And I think that deserves to be celebrated.
I love it. And for those of us who don't know what the R card is, kind of explain that as a thing.
It is a business, like the size of a business card, and it has a number of other words that start with R, like rethink, reimagine. It features, I believe, 6 children with Down syndrome along the bottom. And it's something that maybe if you hear someone use it, the R word, and it makes you cringe, and you don't necessarily want to verbalize it with them. It's something you can leave on somebody's desk. You can tuck it in their pocket, maybe stick it in their door, just to let them know, hey, what you said kind of hurts my, not just kind of hurts my feelings, it hurts my feelings. And there's a face that goes with that word when you use it, and you may not realize it. And that face could be my child. And it's gotten good feedback.
Yeah, good. I like that, and I do like the fact that it has become cringeworthy, and it might be in the circles that I think we may run in, but I find more and more that it becomes cringeworthy to a lot more people, and I think that's progress on a larger scale than we kind of seen. And I think it might be because you and I run in the developmental disability community, and that it's top of mind, it's topical. But I think really there's a shift, and I think that's kind of a really interesting moment to watch when to use it as a child and as an adolescent and even as a young adult. Didn't think anything of it, but all of a sudden it becomes now, oh, why would I do that? That sounds like a horrible thing to say now. So I think progress is being made, and so I think that's a wonderfully clever way of addressing this without sort of getting into it face to face, which is a wonderful way to do it. One of the things that we like doing here on the official Do Good Better podcast is showcasing anybody and everybody who has helped you along the way, and sharing some notes of appreciation to those who make Nothing Down the way that it is. And so are there anybody, or there's a business or a person or a group of people who have deserve a big shout out today on the show for doing and just being generally awesome?
Our ambassadors, they're amazing. And the term for this year's really kind of just started in February. It's usually a 1-year term. So they kind of came into this with us at a time where we were figuring this out as we went along with the way the world is going. And so many of them have just stepped up to the plate, and they're willing to fundraise or volunteer, do whatever they have to do to help us. And people are getting super creative. We've got a couple of moms doing yard sales to fundraise for us. There's another mother who has a hair salon who developed products, and a portion of the proceeds is coming to us. Just in a time where people really need to be focused on the safety of their families, to see that they're still willing to help this cause is amazing. And we are super, super thankful for everything that they're doing and continue to do.
That's amazing. Here's another R word for you for talking about your ambassadors: resilient. Even in a global pandemic, still rocking and rolling. So there's an R word for the day that we can use as a celebration tool and an appreciation tool for them. Well, as an appreciation, speaking of which, I'd like to say thank you to my guests by offering as much fundraising advice as possible to those who have questions. And so, Paula, from Nothing Down, is there a fundraising question that I can help you out with today?
Sure. We actually this morning were just discussing how we're going to still try to tentatively have a walk. If not in person, we're definitely holding a virtual option as well, but we were going to hope to try and have an in-person walk that people could show up to if we are able to do so. But with also not knowing about a gala, we're discussing maybe online auctions, doing things like that. So it just, any advice on how to keep it kind of fluid when asking potential donors, because we can't just say you're going to donate and you're going to be on the step and repeat at a gala, you're going to be on a sign at a walk. It's difficult to kind of propose what we're giving in return.
No, it is a question that is everybody top of mind on everybody, especially looking forward to the fall where most of the galas are and some of the walks are as well. For a sponsor, during a pandemic and thinking about going virtual, what we're finding is you get more bang for your buck in a virtual sponsorship than you do in an in-person one. And I'll give you an example. If you are doing a virtual event, or if you're doing an in-person event, and I'm a sponsor of your gala, I'm going to get mentioned once or twice, and I'm probably going to be in a book somewhere that people are going to glance over. If you're in a virtual environment, you get to scroll past every single 5, 10, 20 seconds of another sponsor in front of people, downloading a link, emailing directly, text messaging someone a link to the to their business or their group or whomever is sponsoring the show. You can mention them numerous times on social media as you're leading up to it, because all of your marketing material is going to be on the virtual platform. And so you get more touch points in a virtual setting than you would in an actual in-person setting. And that's what we're finding, because you can be in front and it doesn't seem annoying. And instead of not paying attention to it, live while you're flipping through a book, you're actually forced to look at it because you're looking at a screen and you're doing. So you're getting more eyeballs. You're able to mention it more often without seeming like you're forcing it into it. Like, this portion is brought to you by Business A. This section of our virtual event is brought to you by Business B. And all of a sudden they feel a little more involved with the success of your event in a virtual setting than they have in an in-person one. I'll give you a golf tournament example as well. If you've ever played in a golf tournament, you've got a hole sponsor. How many hole sponsors do you mention or you remember, or the sign isn't there prominent? You don't pay attention. You're 14 Coors Lights in playing at a golf tournament. Have fun. But if you're doing a virtual event, all of a sudden that becomes front and center, and it becomes something that you can purposely do in front, and your sponsorship package can actually showcase that on the amount of eyeballs, the amount of people you're going to showcase as well. I think it's a bigger opportunity now in a virtual setting than it is in an in-person setting to sell your sponsorships as a better value now than it would be in an in-person one.
Great.
I just think it's a thing. And again, you can have fun with it too. The best part about this pandemic is that you are going to get a lot of grace for trying something brand new that you haven't done before. And that you're, again, as an audacious group yourself, doing something fun and different and unique and outside of the box is going to be well rewarded, with people going, hey, it might have not worked, but holy heck, they tried. And boy, that turned out to be not abysmal failure, but really something we learned along the way. So kudos to you for trying. And I love the idea. And again, plan for it all being virtual. You might be able to get away with a hybrid version of it. But if you don't plan to be virtual, I think you're going to get caught flat-footed. And so my advice to any and all nonprofits who are looking at their fall events, plan on a virtual setting. We don't know when this is going to flare up again. And again, to a population and a group of individuals who need to be kept safer than others, you're going to have to think about that a little differently than other groups might. So I think it's being purposeful and responsible and being proactive, I think, is the key there.
Great
I hope
advice.
that helps for you, Paula. Okay, so we have come to the end of our podcast, which is so sad because I just have a joy talking to you, and this is such a cool thing. And I want everyone to take that giant sack of money they've got sitting and hide it under their bed, and I want you to give it to Nothing Down at the end of the show. But alas, we don't know how to get a hold of you. So Paula, how can we give you a lot of money? How can we support you? How can we follow you? Give us all the ways that we can support Nothing Down today.
We are online at www.nothingdown.org. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. I think that's it. We're also, I think we're on Pinterest.
Ooh.
But okay. Or you can feel free to email us at info@nothingdown.org as well. And we will gladly respond to any and all questions that you might have.
I love it. Well, of course, we're going to put all that information in the show notes. And so as soon as you're done with this podcast, you scroll down and you click donate, and it's going to be amazing. You're going to feel good, and you're going to help them do amazing work all over the globe now, because that is pretty darn cool. And that's a wonderful to have you on as a guest here on the official Do Good Better podcast. Thank you, Paula, for being here.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Best of luck, and we'll catch you next time here on the official Do Good Better podcast.